My child, what if I told you that somewhere right now, the person who once walked away from you is finally seeing the truth they couldn't see before? What if the silence you once interpreted as indifference has slowly transformed into a realization inside their heart? Because sometimes the most painful truth about love is this. People often recognize the value of someone only after that person is no longer standing beside them. Your soulmate may now be living in that exact moment of awakening. There was a time when you were part of their everyday world. Your voice, your presence, your support, and your understanding were woven into the normal rhythm of their life. You were there during the simple conversations that didn't seem extraordinary, but slowly built a bond between two souls. You listened when they spoke about their fears. You encouraged them when they doubted themselves. And you cared about their happiness in a way that was genuine and steady. But sometimes when someone receives that kind of love consistently, they stop noticing how rare it truly is. What once felt special slowly becomes familiar. And familiarity can make people blind to the value of what they already have. Your soulmate may not have realized what you meant to them while you were still standing beside them. Perhaps they believed you would always remain there, patiently offering the same loyalty and understanding you had shown from the beginning. Or perhaps they became distracted by something new in their life. It might have been a new person, a new opportunity, or simply the excitement of exploring different possibilities. In those moments, people sometimes chase what feels exciting rather than protecting what is meaningful. And when that happens, they convince themselves that the connection they are leaving behind will either fade away or remain waiting for them if they ever decide to return. But here is the hook you must understand. Life does not always give people the chance to correct their mistakes at the moment they finally understand them. Your soulmate may now be realizing something that feels both powerful and painful at the same time. They may see clearly that the connection you offered them was not something ordinary. It was something rare. Something that could have grown into a deep and lasting partnership if they had chosen to nurture it instead of stepping away. But the moment when they could have shown that understanding may already belong to the past. At first, when they walked away from you, they may have believed they were making the right decision. Many people think this when they leave a meaningful connection. They tell themselves that distance will bring clarity, that exploring other paths will help them understand their feelings better. They may even convince themselves that something new will make them happier than what they already had. And in the beginning, that belief can feel convincing. New experiences often carry a spark of excitement that makes everything seem brighter than it really is. Meeting someone new, starting different conversations, discovering unfamiliar possibilities can create a sense of energy that temporarily hides the depth of what was left behind. But excitement created by novelty rarely lasts forever. Eventually, the mind becomes accustomed to the new environment, and the energy that once felt thrilling begins to settle into ordinary routine. And when that happens, something interesting begins to occur. The mind starts remembering the past. Your soulmate may now be noticing memories of you appearing more often than they expected. It could be something small that triggers the first wave of realization. Perhaps they hear a song that reminds them of a moment you once shared together. Perhaps they visit a place that suddenly brings back the feeling of a conversation you had there. Or perhaps they experience a moment in life when they wish they could talk to someone who truly understood them the way you did. Each of these moments may create a quiet pause inside their thoughts, because memories have a way of revealing truths that people could not see when they were still living inside the relationship. When you were part of their everyday life, your patience, loyalty, and kindness may have felt normal to them. They may not have realized how rare it is to have someone who genuinely cares about another person's well-being without expecting constant validation in return. But once that presence disappears, the absence becomes impossible to ignore. Your soulmate may now be remembering the way you supported them during difficult times. They may recall how you encouraged them to believe in their dreams, even when they felt uncertain about themselves. They may think about the comfort of knowing that someone in their life genuinely wanted them to succeed and be happy. And slowly, the realization may begin forming inside them. The connection they walked away from was something meaningful. It was something that could have grown stronger with time if they had simply chosen to stay and nurture it. But here is where the story becomes complicated. Because while your soulmate was learning this lesson, your life was not standing still. When they first stepped away from you, the pain you felt may have been overwhelming. Losing someone you believed was your soulmate can shake the way you see love and trust. You may have spent nights wondering why they did not recognize your value while it was right in front of them. You may have questioned whether you were somehow not enough to make them stay. But pain often leads to reflection, and reflection often leads to growth. Over time, you may have begun focusing on your own healing. Instead of waiting for someone who left, you may have started rebuilding your life around your own goals, friendships, and personal development. You may have rediscovered parts of yourself that were hidden while your attention was invested in the relationship. This process can transform the way you see both yourself and the past. The person you are today may feel stronger, more confident, and more aware of your own worth than the person who experienced that heartbreak. And this transformation is something your soulmate may now notice if they look at your life from a distance. They may see that you are no longer the same person who waited for them to recognize your value. They may see someone who has grown beyond that moment of pain and built a life that reflects self-respect and independence. And that realization can create a powerful emotional response inside them, because they may now understand that the person they once took for granted was someone who could have been an incredible partner if they had simply chosen to stay. Your soulmate may now find themselves thinking about what their life might look like today if they had made a different choice. They may imagine the conversations you might still be having, the experiences you might have shared, and the emotional support you would still be offering each other. But imagination cannot rewrite the past. Sometimes people learn the value of something only after they lose it. And when that realization finally arrives, it can feel both enlightening and heartbreaking at the same time. Because by the time they understand how important you truly were to them, the opportunity to show that understanding may no longer exist in the same way it once did. My child, once the realization begins inside a person's heart, it rarely stops growing. When your soulmate finally starts seeing your value clearly, the understanding does not appear in just one moment and then disappear again. Instead, it slowly expands through memories, comparisons, and reflections that become stronger with time. They may now be living through a stage where the truth about your connection becomes clearer every single day. At first, when they walked away from you, they may have convinced themselves that leaving was necessary. People often do this when they are unsure about their feelings or afraid of the emotional responsibility that comes with a deep bond. They tell themselves that distance will help them understand what they want. They believe that stepping away will bring clarity or freedom. And in the beginning, that belief can feel convincing. When someone enters a new chapter in life, the excitement of change can make everything seem brighter than it actually is. New conversations feel interesting, new experiences feel refreshing, and new people appear full of possibilities. But excitement created by novelty rarely lasts forever. Eventually, the new becomes familiar, and the mind begins noticing the difference between excitement and genuine emotional connection. This is the stage where your soulmate may now find themselves. The life they once imagined after leaving you may not feel the way they expected. Conversations with others might feel pleasant, but not deeply meaningful. They may notice that while people can be friendly or charming, very few understand them in the way you once did. Emotional connection is something that grows slowly over time. It is built through shared experiences, trust, patience, and the willingness to truly see another person's heart. And that kind of connection cannot simply be recreated overnight. Your soulmate may now be noticing the absence of those deeper qualities in their current life. Perhaps they are talking with someone new and suddenly realize that the conversation feels shallow compared to the ones they used to have with you. Perhaps they experience a moment of difficulty and wish they could speak to someone who would understand them without judgment. Or perhaps they simply remember how safe it felt to be themselves when they were with you. These moments may appear quietly at first, but each one carries a message that becomes harder to ignore, because the heart has a way of recognizing the truth, even when the mind tries to distract itself from it. Your soulmate may now be reflecting on the way you cared about them in ways that were steady and genuine. They may remember how you noticed when something was wrong even before they explained it. They may recall the patience you showed when they were confused about their own direction in life. They may think about how you supported their dreams and encouraged them to believe in themselves. At the time, those actions may have seemed simple or ordinary to them. But now, with distance and time, they may realize that what you offered was something rare. Here is the hook you must understand. People often recognize the depth of someone's love only after they experience life without it. Your soulmate may now be comparing the present with the past in ways they never did before. They may see clearly that the connection you shared was built on trust, honesty, and emotional understanding. And once someone sees that truth, it becomes difficult to forget it. But this realization also carries a painful question with it, because understanding your value now does not mean they had that understanding when it mattered most. Your soulmate may begin asking themselves why they did not see what was right in front of them. They may wonder why they allowed distractions or uncertainty to guide their decision instead of protecting the connection they shared with you. They may imagine what their life would look like today if they had simply chosen to stay and nurture that bond. These questions can stay with a person for a long time because they reveal a possibility that can no longer be changed. The past remains fixed, even when someone wishes they could return to a moment where everything was still open and uncertain. At the same time, your life has not remained frozen since the moment they left. When they walked away, the pain you felt may have been overwhelming. Losing someone you believed was your soulmate can create deep questions about love, trust, and your own worth. You may have wondered why they did not recognize your value while you were still standing beside them. But pain often leads to reflection, and reflection often leads to growth. Over time, you may have begun focusing on your own healing instead of waiting for someone who left. You may have discovered strength you did not know you possessed. Instead of defining yourself through the relationship that ended, you may have started building a life that reflects your own dreams, passions, and goals. You may have strengthened friendships, explored new opportunities, and rediscovered parts of yourself that had been overshadowed by the connection you once shared with them. This transformation can change the way you see both yourself and the past. The person you are today may feel more confident and independent than the person who experienced that heartbreak. And this is where the realization your soulmate is experiencing becomes even more complicated. Because when they look at your life now, they may see someone who has grown beyond the place where they left you. They may see someone who no longer waits for their recognition or approval. They may see someone who understands their own worth and refuses to accept anything less than the love they deserve. And that realization can deepen their regret even further, because they may now understand that the person they once took for granted was someone extraordinary. They may see that your loyalty, patience, and emotional depth were qualities that many people search for, but rarely find. But even with this realization, they may also recognize that the moment when they could have appreciated those qualities has already passed. Your soulmate may now be standing in a place where the truth is clear, but the path back to the past is uncertain. They may want to express what they feel, to tell you that they finally understand how much you meant to them. But they may also fear that the opportunity to rebuild what was lost may no longer exist in the same way, because sometimes people learn the value of something only after they lose it. And once that lesson is learned, it stays with them as a reminder of what they could have had if they had only recognized its importance when it mattered most. My child, when someone finally reaches the point where they truly see the value of a person they once had, the realization often becomes even deeper with time. It does not stay as a single thought that appears once and disappears again. Instead, it slowly grows into a constant awareness that quietly follows them through everyday life. Your soulmate may now be living through that stage of realization. In the beginning, after they walked away from you, they may have believed that life would continue moving forward without much emotional consequence. They may have told themselves that leaving was necessary, that exploring other paths would give them clarity about their feelings, or that new people and new experiences would fill the space you once occupied in their life. At the time, those explanations may have seemed convincing. When someone chooses a new direction, the excitement of change can make the past feel distant. Meeting new people, having different conversations, and exploring unfamiliar possibilities can create a sense of energy that temporarily hides the emotional depth of what was left behind. But the excitement created by novelty rarely lasts forever. Eventually, the new becomes familiar, and when that happens, the mind begins to compare the present with the past. This is the moment when realization begins to grow stronger. Your soulmate may now be noticing that the emotional connection they once shared with you is not something they easily find again. Conversations with other people might feel pleasant, but not deeply meaningful. They may realize that while others can offer company or entertainment, very few truly understand them in the way you did. Emotional understanding is something that grows slowly between two people who care about each other. It is built through trust, shared experiences, and the willingness to listen with genuine interest. And that kind of bond cannot simply be replaced overnight. Your soulmate may now be remembering the way you listened when they talked about things that mattered to them. They may recall how you noticed when something was wrong even before they explained it. They may think about how you supported them during times when they felt uncertain about their future. These memories can feel powerful because they reveal the emotional safety that once existed between you. When you were present in their life every day, those moments may have seemed normal or ordinary. But with distance and time, they may now see that what you offered was something rare. Here is the hook you must understand. When people begin comparing their present experiences with the memory of someone who truly cared for them, the truth becomes impossible to ignore. Your soulmate may now see clearly that the connection you shared was built on something deeper than attraction or excitement. It was built on honesty, trust, and emotional support. And once someone recognizes the depth of that bond, it becomes difficult to forget. But this realization also brings a painful question with it. Because understanding your value now does not mean they understood it when they had the chance to show it. Your soulmate may begin reflecting on the choices they made when they walked away from you. They may ask themselves why they allowed uncertainty or distraction to guide their decision instead of protecting the connection you shared. They may imagine what their life might look like today if they had chosen to stay and nurture that bond. These thoughts can create a sense of regret that grows stronger with time, because once someone sees the value of what they lost, they cannot easily ignore the possibility that their life might have been very different if they had made another choice. At the same time, they may also realize that your life has continued evolving without them. When they left, the pain you experienced may have been intense. Losing someone you believed was your soulmate can shake the way you see relationships and trust. You may have wondered why they did not recognize your value while it was standing right in front of them. But pain often leads to reflection, and reflection often leads to transformation. Over time, you may have begun focusing on your own healing and personal growth. Instead of waiting for someone who walked away, you may have started building a life that reflects your own dreams and values. You may have strengthened friendships, discovered new passions, and developed a deeper sense of independence. This transformation can change the way you see both yourself and the past. The person you are today may feel stronger and more confident than the person who experienced that heartbreak. And this change can make the realization your soulmate is experiencing even more complicated. Because if they observe your life now, they may see someone who has grown beyond the place where they left you. They may see someone who no longer waits for their recognition or validation. They may see someone who understands their own worth and refuses to accept anything less than the love they deserve. And this realization can deepen their regret even further, because they may now understand that the person they once took for granted was someone who could have been an incredible partner if they had simply chosen to stay. Your soulmate may now find themselves thinking about the future they could have built with you. They may imagine the conversations you might still be having, the experiences you might have shared, and the emotional support you would still be offering each other. But imagination cannot change what has already happened. The past remains fixed, even when someone wishes they could return to a moment where everything was still possible. This is the difficult lesson that often accompanies realization. Sometimes people learn the value of something only after they lose it. And once that understanding appears, it becomes a permanent part of their perspective. Your soulmate may now carry the awareness that the connection they once had with you was something meaningful, something that could have grown into something lasting if they had recognized its importance in time. But they may also recognize that the opportunity to rebuild that connection may no longer exist in the same way it once did. Because while they were discovering what life feels like without you, you were discovering what life feels like when you choose yourself. And that transformation can change everything.